Today, we want to talk about something that's pretty impactful. I recently had a situation with somebody that I know who decided to end their life. Um, and that led us to really take a step back and really think about how the pandemic has really been affecting people's mental health. It's not just like a catchy phrase, this mental health thing. I mean, it's really impacting people. And worst case scenario has happened to somebody that I know. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into that, and I want to talk about the realness that's behind this pandemic and how it's really affecting people, and what we as individuals can do to help one another. So Kim, let me ask you this. You've been through a lot in your life, as a lot of people have. How have you been able to, I guess, get through during this time? Because, I mean, it's stressful, you know, regardless, but you also own a business, which adds
Mhm.
another layer, right? So how have you found it to be during this time, and kind of getting through those moments?
Well, I think first of all, it's tough to talk about. We restarted this show a couple times already. I'm very uncomfortable right now trying to figure out, should I, shouldn't I be vulnerable and honest about some of the things that I faced in my past with my business personally, where you're just like so knocked down, you don't even want to get up out of bed the next day. And then how do you just keep moving forward? And I think that in our industry and probably others, but I mean, I'm focused on what our industry looks like. We're staring at LinkedIn and we're seeing all these people and so many cars sold this month and rah, rah, rah. And there's a whole lot of rah, rah, rah. But I think, like we've discussed behind the scenes, it's so important that we kind of just start the conversation so people know that it's okay to not be like doing your ultimate best right now. It's not the end of the world. And to answer your question, if I go way back, I mean, this pandemic is one thing, and I think I'm handling it maybe this round a little bit better. Not to say that it's been easy on me, it hasn't, but I've already struggled with the loss of business several years ago. It's not something I talk about a whole lot. I was in business with my husband. He had had some drug and alcohol addictions. We ended up parting ways. It was devastational. And I remember really seeking out tools at that time, to try to wrap my brain around how do I literally like just get back up and going again?
Mm.
How do I face my community? How do I ask for that job? And just get started to rebuild my company when you're so knocked down. And one of the authors actually that I'll share that I discovered that has been super helpful for me is an author named Byron Katie. And I really like it because her work is very much about working through a process in your mind, and your mind controls so much of your actions. Taking control of what you're thinking on a day-to-day basis for me is really important. And I noticed that when I work out and I'm breathing and I have that reset every day in the morning, I'm able to focus on what's true for me today, right now. That doesn't mean ignoring the bad. It just means what is really happening. What is the truth
Right.
right now? Is my world ended?
Right. Because I mean that emotions can play with us in that sense, right? Like just because you feel it doesn't mean it's a rational feeling, right?
That's right.
And so we have to be able to kind of decipher what's what, which is really hard to do because when you're feeling down, you're just not motivated to get up and do anything. And from my perspective, I mean, I've spoken to so many people within the auto industry during this time, and it's been really hard, particularly on a lot of the men that I've spoken to who were the breadwinners in their house, and, who were used to working really long days, and didn't have that anymore all of a sudden. And, as much as we want to say the upside is that we get to spend time with each other, a lot of them kind of place a lot of value on themselves, their self-worth based on what they did for a living. And that I think has been really tough for a lot of people, right? And not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, not knowing, when they're going to start working again, or when things, life is going to resume again. So I think we've identified that, it's definitely been a struggle. And I think, like all of us have struggled at one point or another with our business, with work, with personal, right? A lot of relationship issues have come about during this time. And the message is that this too shall pass. And
Yeah.
I think that we have to really, really be kind of each other, with each other. Be mindful. People are hanging on to hope, any hope that they can get at this point. So when you tell someone you're going to do something, do it. Don't leave people hanging. Don't leave people kind of in limbo. I would say over communicate at this point, because you don't know where people are, mentally. Everybody looks like they're doing okay and they're selling cars and people are out and about and doing stuff, right? But that's not always the case, right? That's sometimes just the facade that people put on, that brave face. So what are some of the things, Kim, in your life, like in the day-to-day, that you do to keep yourself motivated and going?
I like to create accountability around my workouts. Sometimes I get nervous that sharing them. So you'll notice, I'm not usually sharing like, oh, look how strong I am today, or I had this, lifted this much weight, or I did this, or I reached this target, or now I'm this weight. It's never like that for me. When I'm sharing, it's usually an ugly selfie, sweaty. And it's just to say, hey, I'm out there, I'm being accountable. I'm showing, others that that's what I'm doing to sort of get my mind reset for the day, get focused. And it helps to help others.
Yes.
When you
Yes.
help others, you have purpose. And so even the little comments where people are saying, oh, hey, Kim, what is it that you're doing? Or doing a little water challenge, or let's walk 30 minutes, stuff like that. That really honestly has nothing to do with, how many units did you produce? What's your average profit? Like, sometimes you just got to step away from the obvious inside our business and just look at the, overall picture, and you'll be able to see, for lack of better words, the forest for the trees, what really does matter. And then focus in on,
Yeah.
okay, how can I make that step towards my goal? But just that time to breathe, reset. Some people meditate.
Yeah.
I won't sit there. I can't do it. I need to be like huffing and puffing, and and that's what I do.
Yeah.
This is kind of a crazy one, but I got it from my ex-husband, who was in AA for years. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. HALT. It says something that they use in AA, and I've used it in my life. I notice if I'm hungry, if I'm angry, if I'm lonely, if I'm tired, I'm not going to be at my peak performance. I'm not going to be patient. I'm not going to be kind. I'm not going to do my best work. So just make sure you're eating. Make sure you're fueling your body the right way. Make sure you're getting enough sleep.
And I mean, I got to be honest, like that's a difficult one for me because I'm always on the go. I don't eat regularly. But I've at least reached out for help. So Kim, what are you doing, right? So I think, surround yourself, if you're not at your peak, surround yourself with others that you'd like to be like, right? So you see somebody that's exercising all the time, you see someone very successful, you see someone that's, you know, um, uh, optimistic. I mean, if those are the things you want, get near that person, right? And I think most people are pretty open. We started a group, Canadian Women in Automotive, where we're constantly posting and we're trying to motivate and connect women in our industry. So join a group, or start having more conversations. Like, I can't tell you, it's such a surprise and so nice when somebody calls me out of the blue for no reason other than to just say, how are you doing? how's it going?
How many times
Like,
did I do that to you?
yeah, it's a nice change, right? Because we're always like business minded, and it's nice to see each other as human beings that we are.
Yes.
So
And I think that's important because sometimes, because I'm open to share and I'm open to being vulnerable, at least a little bit where I'm comfortable. It's also important that I also share that, nobody's perfect. Like, I don't eat
exactly.
right on the best of days. I've never been in my peak performance. So it's just like, but I'm striving to get there. And it's the same as my business. I'm not where I want it to be right now, not by a long shot, but I'm in the grind. I'm getting up every day. I'm doing the best that I can do, surrounding myself with like-minded, positive people in our group.
Yeah.
And just doing the best that I can and trying to be sensitive to, those around that
Yeah.
may be struggling. I think that honesty piece is important right now, because if all you're seeing is how good everybody else is doing, it's like, well,
Yeah.
maybe I can't get there, so
Exactly. So
everybody's doing it. Everybody's
yeah,
struggling.
so I encourage anyone to reach out to him or myself if you just want to chat. We're both open to it. But, look around you as well. Look around your circle and see, you know, who you can get around and lift your spirit. So with that said, wishing everyone love and hopefully we get through this sooner than later.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone.